Sorry. So Christ said that whoever saves themselves, so whoever chases the world to attain the things of the world, will lose their life. So they won't be guaranteed salvation. But whoever loses his life for my sake, whoever drops the things of the world and follows Christ, they will be saved. It's hard. I completely admit that. Even as somebody who was born a Christian, there are many things that I could be doing that I don't do because I see myself as a disciple of Christ. That through my works and deeds, I'm supposed to inspire other people to also want to follow Christ.
Does that include sex before marriage?
Yes, it does, yeah. And I haven't partaken in that personally. I turned 28 today, actually. Yeah, which is interesting, yeah. Huh? Thank you, yeah. So I'm still not partaking in that. I'm not saying that I am absolutely sinless. Like, if I can be honest, I waste time a lot. And time belongs to God. So if you're wasting it and you're wasting a gift that God has given you, I spend like a lot of time in bed not doing anything, staring at my ceiling, watching YouTube videos. These are things that I should cut out of my life, and it's hard to do. But the good thing about Christianity is that the idea is about perfecting oneself. That through the help of God, you can actually, however broken you are and imperfect you are, by following Christ, He can start to mend you as a person and then make you straight. Yeah, that's kind of what we believe. Can I ask, like, what are you? Like, are you an atheist? Do you come from a Muslim? Okay, fair enough.
Can I ask you something else?
Sure, go ahead.
What makes you believe in Christianity? Is there some sort of proof that you've seen in the Bible? Is that what makes you sure that this is the religion?
Multiple things. So let me be honest with you. Because I was born into it, I have grown up in the system. I have seen people profess that God has done X, Y, and Z for them. At times I have been reassured by Scripture. When I had like an issue in life and I read something and it opened my eyes to a whole different perspective. And historically, we know that Christ did exist. And we know that He was crucified as Scripture says.
Well, we know that someone was crucified.
Well, it definitely was Christ because it wasn't anybody else. Because they would have known who He was. And then if He wasn't crucified, His disciples wouldn't have been inspired to then go and preach the word to other people. Because they held the belief that he was crucified, He did die, and He did come back. And then charged them to go out into the world and preach the gospel. So in my personal opinion, I don't see why if I was following a guy around for 3 years who told me that he would die 3 different times and come back to life, and he died and stayed dead, I personally wouldn't bother going to preach about him. In John, actually, if you ever read the gospel, this is a really like interesting part. It feels almost like a bit of like an ending scene of a movie. So Christ is risen, and He's appeared to some of the disciples, but not all of them at once, right? But then when He appears to them, they've actually just gone back to doing what they were doing before. So they've gone back to being fishermen, and then they're fishing, and then Christ appears there while they're fishing, and they haven't caught anything all day. So He tells them to put the net into the other side of the boat, and suddenly it's filled with fish. And this was the first thing that He did for them when they very first met. And He told them that since with Him they have caught all this fish, they will also go out and fish men and women for Christ. So it's funny how before Christ came back and talked to them, they would just have gone back to being fishermen and ignored everything else that happened. But we see that they did that, but they had an experience with Christ that made them then go out and risk their lives and actually lose their lives for Christ. So that convinces me that there's something here.
So based on the text, the way the miracles work, that's what convinces you?
That growing up in the system as well, that also helped out me, honestly. I'll admit that. If I grew up Muslim, I'll be honest with you, I don't know if I would change over.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was born as a Muslim.
Yeah.
And when I was younger, I was skeptical of religion. I thought, well, there's like a billion religions. How
There
do
are.
you know which one's right? But the problem is, my mom, I talked to my mother, and she bought me a book called Scientific Miracles in the Quran.
Right.
I read through that book, and afterwards I was like amazed.
Right.
Because, for example, can I tell you something? Anyway.
Go ahead.
Not to convert you, but just to tell you
What's in there?
Yeah, what's in there?
Yeah.
What I thought was, pretty great.
Okay.
So, for example, I can get it out.
Sure thing. No, no, it's all good. Yep.
First of all, we know that Muhammad, peace be upon him,
Illiterate?
he was literate. Yeah,
Okay.
that's one thing we know. He's literate, based on all records.
Okay.
Right, so if he wrote the Quran, how could he have written it? If he was literate? That's one thing. But that's not really the miracle. That's just more like a side thing that, well, he's literate.
Do you believe in hadith by any chance?
Yes, not all of them, some of them.
I can show you one that says Muhammad could write.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, but that may have been from his enemy, you know?
No, so do you know about Sahih hadith by any chance? Yes. So like there's these like 6 books, the highest of authority being like Sahih Bukhari. It's in there. So it probably wasn't an enemy who wrote it. It was probably like a believer. Actually, I think it was someone called Anas. Actually, yeah, who might have been like one of the Sahaba. Yeah, he recorded it. But, yeah. Sure. Yeah. But carry on, please. Carry on.
So as you know, Muhammad's peace be upon him, he followed the lunar calendar, right? Not the Gregorian calendar.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in the lunar calendar, 355 days in a year.
Yep.
Yeah. Now in the Quran, this is a very strange fact, but in the Quran, if we can get this out.
Yeah.
The word male and female are both mentioned 23 times. The same number of chromosomes as in the human body, 23.
Okay.
Okay. The word life and death are both mentioned 145 times. The word angel and demon are both mentioned 88 times.
Okay.
And the word day is mentioned 365 times in the Quran.
Okay.
The Gregorian calendar, how we follow 365 days, was not at all used at the time. As in, what I'm trying to say is that
But it should have been. But by the Arabs or by?
by the Arabs,
Okay.
they followed a yearly calendar of 355, but in the Quran, 365 times the word day is mentioned.
Okay.
So how does that work?
I don't know, because would that imply that Allah himself follows the Gregorian calendar,
That's not
or?
what it's implying, but it's not trying to say that if the word month also is mentioned 12 times in the Quran.
Okay.
The word month is 12 times in the Quran. So if the word month is mentioned 12 times in the Quran, and the word day is mentioned 365, now it's obviously it's the calendar that everyone bases. Not everyone,
Okay.
but most people follow, right?
Okay.
So how is it possible?
So to me at least, right, that doesn't sound much of a miracle, because effectively like
I'm going to
right. Effectively, the days and calendars that we use are made by man.
Yeah.
They aren't like divine in any sense. So it just sounds to me like maybe the Arab Christians at the time were using the Gregorian calendar, and potentially whoever wrote the Quran might have been influenced by them. So because otherwise, what I'm getting from this is that Allah himself is like giving an okay to the Gregorian calendar, meaning that the way in which we track Ramadan is wrong. We should track it by the sun and not by the moon instead, right? Well, if Allah is like, if by these miracles, Allah is like co-signing the Gregorian calendar, shouldn't we all just follow that instead or something? Or that's what I think.
Yeah. So I'll get to the...
If you want to see the writing one, it's here. So it's Sahih Bukhari 114, and in here, so this is when Muhammad was like dying of an ailment, and it says here that so the companions of the Prophet differed about this, and there was a huge cry. So on that, the Prophet said to them, "Go away, leave me alone. It is not right that you should quarrel in front of me." And then Ibn Abbas came out saying, it was the most unfortunate that Allah's messenger was prevented from writing that statement for them because of the disagreement. And I think earlier on it says, Muhammad here says, reported by Ibn Abbas, says, "Bring for me paper, and I will write for you a statement, after which you will not go astray." So it appears that at least at some stage in his life he could write. Huh?
Like, you know, just how when the revelation of God was in Cave Hero,
Yeah.
he could read,
Yeah.
but only because God let him read that
Okay.
one time. That's what we believe in anyway.
Sure, but he could write too because God let him at some point, maybe? I'm not sure, but
Well, let's
yeah.
The Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam died.
Sorry?
Is the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam died same day?
No,
When he died?
in 632 apparently.
No. According to that hadith, when he died.
Not this hadith, a different one. It doesn't give a date for it.
Sorry?
There's no hadith that gives a date when Muhammad died.
According to that hadith, when the Prophet Muhammad died.
It doesn't say that.
Just what you want.
I'm reading that he could write.
Prophet Muhammad died after 3 days.
Of this?
Yes.
How do you know that?
He can write whatever because the Prophet Muhammad write. He talking about Khamis, and Khamis is mean in English is Thursday, okay? And the Prophet Muhammad he died in Monday. They were 3 days. He can write whatever he wants.
I don't know what your point is.
The point that the hadith you're showing her now
says that Muhammad asked for paper.
He want to write something.
Yes.
And the people there, I'm talking about the same hadith. That is, they call it Raziyat Khamis.
And so he could write or he couldn't write?
I said to you, if that happened Thursday, and the Prophet Muhammad died Monday, he has 3 days to write whatever he wants to write.
No, but he was too weak to write, which is why he wanted them to bring him the paper.
He could call them again and told them, come, bring for me the paper, and they write what they want to write.
I don't know about that.
Yeah,
so wait, so you're implying that the hadith is lying?
Just no pick a piece, go read the
So Sahih Muslim here is lying to you, yeah?
Did they say they lie?
Okay, so Muhammad could write, apparently. There you
I
go.
said that the Prophet Muhammad died on Monday, and the hadith is talking
That doesn't mean anything. He could write, apparently.
It mean a lot. Mean a lot.
It doesn't.
Because you said to her,
yes?
Just lie to her. You said to her, they prohibit him to write.
It's right here.
And that is a lie.
It's right here.
Because the Prophet Muhammad in the night he can call them, bring for me paper, I write for you. He can next day bring for me.
If you want to believe that Ibn Abbas is lying to you, then that's your problem. But let me come back to you. Sorry. So, please carry on if you want with the miracles.
Has Friday.
If you want.
Has Saturday. Has Sunday and has Monday as well. Stop lying and go study.
I read what was there. So unless Ibn Abbas is a liar, that's your fault.
Fully. I'm telling you, read fully the hadith. They are hadith, other hadith, or they complete.
It says he could write. That's all.
What you want. That's what I'm telling you.
But please carry on with the calendar. What came next?
And you start to lie to people. That is embarrassment. Really embarrassment.
You don't believe hadith, that's your own problem.
I believe in the hadith. I said to you, bring the full hadith. Why you cherry pick just only one?
Does the full hadith say he couldn't write? There you go. All right.
What I said, did they say something?
You haven't really said anything intelligible right now. So, you know what? Bring me the hadith you want and I'll read it, okay?
No, go study. Go study.
If you've studied. Have you studied?
Like this. Yes, I did. That's why I'm answering.
Please bring it for me.
That's what I'm
I'll read it.
I'm giving to you even the name. I'm giving to you the name.
Go for it.
The name they called Raziyat al-Khamis. Even if you go to Shia, they would tell you called Raziyat al-Khamis. And they said I didn't study. You are such a liar. Do you know about
Bring it for me.
What mean Raziyat al-Khamis?
Bring it for me, please.
Raziyat al-Khamis?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
That you're talking about
so can you bring it for me?
You're talking about something you don't even know.
Muhammad could write. That's the problem.
Stop lying.
Sahih Bukhari,
Stop
114.
Lying.
There you go.
Stop lying. Go bring the full hadith and study properly.
You're calling Ibn Abbas a liar.
I'm calling you
I'm not sure you can do that. But go for it.
I'm calling you a liar. I'm calling you a liar, not Ibn Abbas. Because you are the liar, not Ibn Abbas.
Okay.
I bring for you the name. I told you that how I know that Prophet Muhammad died Monday because from the same hadith. I know that they told him what they told him, and they were arguing in front of the Prophet. It was Thursday. Okay, and Prophet Muhammad died Monday. If this liar, he knows that the Prophet Muhammad died Monday. If they prohibit the Prophet Muhammad to speak or to write whatever he wants to write, he can call them in the night. Oh, you know, they disturbed me before, bring it in the night and they will write for you what they want. He can do next day, Friday night, Saturday morning, Saturday night, Sunday morning, Sunday night, and the Monday he died. Okay, he has full time to write. It's not your understanding because do your Google of Trinity. That's why you say everything is wrong.
You saying it was Wahid?
Bye. Go study.
Okay.
Change the Googles. Put Unitarian Googles.
You can carry on, I guess.
So this is one of my favorite groups.
Go for it. Go for it.
Now, 5147, we built the universe with great
I'm here.
Right?
The expansion of the universe was figured out in 1928.
Right.
Everyone knows that the expansion of the universe was a very recent experiment.
Right.
So how is this in the Quran? We built it with great might. It's describing the vastness of space and also the fact that it can expand, which is
But how do we know it's talking about the universe exactly?
So the words itself samawat is heavens, which is the word they use time for the universe, basically. Everything is up above. We are expanding it.
How do you know it's on the sky?
It's not about skies.
So it's a different word for sky.
No,
Then,
the word samawat is not sama.
so when it talks about 7 heavens,
7 heavens.
what is the first heaven?
First heaven is everything. The first heaven, if I'm correct, the first heaven is I think it's the universe and everything that's in it.
The what, sorry?
I think it's what's in the observers of the universe and everything.
Okay.
The second heaven, third heaven. These
Okay.
are all, we don't know too much about it.
Right.
All descriptions about layers of what's above.
There's something in the Bible then that says something very similar.
Really?
That
Yeah.
God spread out the heavens.
Spread out the heavens.
Yeah, in Isaiah.
Expanding.
But expanding and spread out could be said to be the same thing. I mean, expanding, for example, expanding would imply maybe that one, the universe is currently expanding and Allah is causing this to happen. Or you could say spread out as in the universe is like like there is a physical amount that the universe can fill in terms of space. And then God has already determined that. So if you wanted to, you could like play around with the definitions a little bit and observe that. But that's fine. Let's say, for example, that was the case. Will we then be at the conclusion that because this is in the Quran from the 7th century and it wasn't known to modern science until very recently, therefore God wrote it? Is that the idea?
I think you can reach that conclusion.
Sure, okay.
Because if you can prove that there is a book and it has some sort of divinity to it, if you can
Okay.
prove that it's got information, it's got something that you did not exist at the time.
Okay.
It's divine. Then
Okay.
you can prove that it's from God. How else would Muhammad, peace be upon him, would have
I
done
mean,
that?
certainly, yes, there might be things that seem that way, that they couldn't be known at the time, and they're there. Therefore, it's there by some kind of miraculous means. But also, we don't know a lot about the cultural context of the time. One example is, I know Muhammad used to be a caravan driver, and he could go to Syria and like Jerusalem and different parts of like the world, particularly like beyond the Levant, and trade with people. And so where he lived was metropolitan in some way. So potentially ideas
So you're
could have
saying-
been traded
you're saying
across.
that maybe perhaps he could have known that. You're saying he could have known that.
He could have known it or heard about it potentially from maybe somebody from India,
We know it's
somebody from
recent
Greece.
science.
Sorry?
It's recent scientific discovery.
Yes, but the problem is that a lot of things that are recent scientific discoveries are things that already were known by some civilizations before. Like, for example, like stonework. I don't know if you've ever heard about stonemasonry. And also, for example, you have like Roman concretes. How like you have Roman sculptures and buildings that have been there for thousands of years. But with our modern buildings, they can barely stand for 50 years without maintenance. And we don't know how they did it, for example.
Sorry, David.
So,
Just on this.
Yeah.
So what's the discussion here?
just a bunch of scientific miracles in the Quran.
Okay.
Yeah.
So would you say like Jesus, peace be upon him,
Yeah.
like what you're according to you guys in the New Testament, he makes a claim that the mustard seed is the smallest seed in the world?
In the world.
Yeah, he makes a generic statement like that, right?
Okay.
Quote it. You want to go to that text?
Sure. Do you want to show this?
Sure.
Let's find it. I believe it's something like if you have faith like a mustard seed.
I can try and find it as well.
That's fine. Please carry on if you want to try and add any more.
Why are we? There's one more. Is this on a similar?
So there's Matthew 17:20 if you want to find it.
It's on a similar kind of track.
Yep.
You can prove there's more than one scientific miracle at least, or one. You know how you can one.
Yep.
So
That's not the passage.
No? Okay, find it then if you don't mind.
okay, 21:30. Do the
Yep.
disbelievers not realize that the heavens and earth were once one mass, then we split them apart, and we created from water every living thing? Will they then not believe?
So the heavens and the earth were once one mass.
One mass, then we split them apart, or some other definition to be cleft
Okay.
asunder.
So you said that the heavens are the observable universe.
Heavens and what's above?
So who agrees that the observable universe and the earth were once one mass?
No, not the observable universe, but we all know that like everything that's in the observable
Yeah?
universe is one.
But you said previously that the heavens meant the observable universe. Is that the same thing here or is that something different here?
Isn't it? It's saying that basically, like you don't have to assume that it's saying the universe. It's saying the universe.
So the universe and the earth were once one mass.
The
Is
universe,
what,
yes, but basically everything that's in the universe.
and the earth as well.
Yes.
Okay. And
So,
then
yeah, once one mass. And
Okay.
we cleft them asunder.
okay.
Yeah.
But does anybody agree with that? That no. Oh, that's the Big Bang.
Yeah.
But that verse makes it sound like the Earth was also there, present at the impetus of the Big Bang, and not formed later.
Can I just say, David, can I say something?
got it now,
I'm a Muslim myself.
So it's
Okay.
Matthew
There's two guys. Pause.
So Matthew 13,
Yes.
verse 31.
Yes.
The kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed.
Yes.
Though it is the smallest of all seeds.
Yep.
So that's a definitive claim by the Jesus of the New Testament
But-
that this is the smallest of all seeds.
But did he say of all seeds in the world, or just of all the seeds that were relevant to them at the time?
You're really going to go there?
Sure, why not? Because everything in the Bible has a cultural context. So there are many things that, for example, Jesus Christ says that the cultural context can apply to us today, for example. So
This is a definitive
this
statement.
verse,
It says it's the smallest of all seeds.
sure, but again, are you sure that is implying that Jesus Christ is saying affirmatively that the mustard seed is the smallest seed in all my creation, or just the smallest seed to your understanding?
If there is a smallest seed in that region,
Yes.
that can be definitively proven. Right?
Okay.
Then this is wrong, right? According to your standards.
I mean, sure, why not?
So if
Sure.
there's a smallest seed in the region of Jesus'
Now, I would say, is he trying to give the understanding that because the seed is small, but yet turns into a big tree, then therefore that is what faith should be like. So in that case, the statement might not be literal, because do you know of a seed that is smaller than a mustard seed within that region that then sprouts into a larger tree than a mustard tree?
Where does it say that?
Huh? No, because essentially, so the analogy that's being given here is that because the seed is small, but can sprout into a large tree, that is what we want faith to be like.
It says, though it is the smallest of all seeds.
Of all seeds, yes. Yet, when it grows, it is the largest of all plants and becomes a tree.
But that doesn't mean that he's not saying that this is the smallest of all seeds.
It's an analogy for faith. That's all. So
this can be disproven according to modern science.
which is fine. It shouldn't be a literal statement. It's an analogy because it's doing an analogy for faith. So do you know of any
So he's
seed?
lying here.
Huh?
He's lying.
No, analogies aren't lies. They're examples to prove a point to you. That's all. Yep. Sorry.
I just want to mention the point about the Big Bang, right?
Yep.
It's very dangerous to use science into the Quran. None of the scholars of Islam have actually ever claimed this. It comes from individuals such as Zach and Naik, but it's important to mention that this isn't actually a claim from the scholars. I think that's important to mention, because if the Big Bang gets proven wrong, then that means that we'd have an issue. So I think it's important to mention that the claim that the Big Bang is in the Quran, it does come from da'is like Zach and Naik and whatnot, but the scholars of Tafsir, the Mufassirin, they don't actually claim this. So I think that's
So what do they?
If you claim in the Bible, there's no scientific inaccuracies.
No. No.
So, because on the first page of the Bible, Genesis chapter 1, there.
Can I come back to that for 1 second, please? 1 second. Okay, fine. I have no issue with that. I don't think that you should hang religious text on science, because science can change. But this is something that gives her confidence in the scripture. So that's all.
I understand, but I think obviously the issue is that the tafsir of the Quran, it has principles.
Okay.
And the idea that it comes from the Big Bang,
Yep.
that opinion doesn't actually have a basis. And it can be problematic, because if the Big Bang is disproven, then does that mean that the Quran is a mistake?
So what do you think about the verse that says the heaven and the earth will
Yeah,
one night?
the answer to that is Allah knows best, because none of the scholars have actually.
Sorry, what
It's based on principles, right? Like tafsir about Quran, tafsir about Arabic language, tafsir about narrations. And from these principles, we don't actually have any basis to say that the Quran is a book of science, so that the Big Bang, as we know, that's supposed to be proven. So the issue with that is that if we're going to make this claim, if let's say 10, 15 years the Big Bang is disproven, then you're going to have to take back the statement, or it's going to look like the Quran is a mistake. So the issue is that when we go to tafsir, we have to be careful. It has to be based on principles. And to claim that the Big Bang is in the Quran, the da'is that make this claim, they don't actually base it on the principles. It's just based on opinion. Or trying to fit something into the Quran. There's no basis. And that's why I spoke up about it.
Because you know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala he says in Surah Fussilat, Surah 41, Ayah 9 to 12, Allah Azza wa Jalla
Just
created the earth
Genesis chapter
in 2
1.
days.
Yeah.
You're
and he put
saying
sustenance from the earth in 4
clearly
days,
states that,
and then he created, then he fashioned the 7 heavens in 2 days, right?
Yeah, but we
And then he
talked
asked
about
the
that.
geological
record,
you can't go through willingly,
clearly shows that fish came from plants.
Okay.
This indicates
So
that
I
when
wouldn't
the Big
hang
Bang
my
was
hat on
there
that
was no
as
time.
being the reason why the
Allah
Bible
was
is
just
true.
saying, no, before the separation
Like I
of
said to you when we were over there, it's to be understood that these scriptures were written by men, and that some of them were written due to the cultural context at the time. So if they didn't have these fossil records or that word you use for
because Allah Azza wa Jalla
whatever, if they didn't have these with them at the time, then that's fine. They weren't privy to it at the time. However, what they're putting across isn't how accurate the Bible is scientifically, but the magnificence of God in being able to create.
So you're
Because
saying potentially Genesis chapter 1 can be
But Allah
first
Azza wa
page of it
Jalla,
can be
but Allah Azza wa Jalla, He is alluding
Sure.
that there was a primordial
That's not a good
state of the
start.
earth. There's nothing-
well, not necessarily, because it's not a science book. It's a book about God, and science can change, which is why.
First page of first
There was evidence.
Tafsir actually says it refers to the 7 heavens and the
already
7
going
earths.
into modern science.
They don't actually say that.
That's not how you treat the Bible. The Bible doesn't depend on modern science.
That's why I asked you to talk about it.
Neither should the Quran either, if you ask me. But
Time,
I'm
space,
saying
there was no matter.
that is that's so clearly against the modern theological record,
Created the
right?
heavens and the earth.
currently,
Then he joined
currently, which is what I was
just
going
want
to
to
say.
clarify that.
That's fine. Yeah. I mean, but very simply, one of my favorite ones is like if you go to the Quran and look at like Surah 18, verse 53 to 101, it talks about some wall somewhere that is built between two mountains that houses people who somehow have been alive for an unknown number of years, and they're still there today. But nowhere can we go where we can observe this.
That could be referring to.
Yep.
So that could be referring to.
Sorry, my friend, are we done or? Yeah.
I don't mind. I do.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about anything else? Include anything else,
I
or?
haven't got any more miracles. So.
Okay. Well, what I would say is that yes, you can potentially depend.
The point is that in science, there's a difference between speculative science.
Just on.
Okay.
Just on
Sure.
Just on that.